Luke was just a repair tech, not a hero, not a soldier. He fixed broken panels and old wires in quiet corners of space. Today, he was supposed to fix a backup generator on a small science ship. Near the edge of human territory, nothing serious, nothing dangerous. But the ship had other plans. A sudden energy surge hit the station. Alarms screamed, lights flickered, the floor shook. The crew yelled in panic as something hit their hull. A message came in strange symbols, alien language, and a countdown. Luke didn't wait. Smoke filled the air. He ran down the hallway, looking for the nearest escape pod. But the pods were gone. He kept running and stumbled into a hidden room. It looked new, shiny, and not human-made. The walls glowed purple. In the center stood a large glass pod, open and humming. It looked like a stasis chamber, probably alien tech. He didn't think. He just jumped inside. The lid closed with a soft hiss. Lights blinked. The pod filled with warm mist. Then everything went dark. When Luke opened his eyes, the room had changed. It wasn't the broken station anymore. It was clean, quiet, and glowing. The walls were smooth and curved, soft. Lights blinked in slow patterns. He tried to move, but felt something heavy on his chest. He looked down. An alien girl now. A woman was lying on top of him. She was beautiful in a strange way. Her skin was soft blue with glowing silver lines across her cheeks and arms, long. White hair flowed down her back. Her eyes were closed. Her head rested on his chest like he was a warm bed. She wore a thin robe with bright threads running through it. Luke froze. He didn't know what to say or do. His brain screamed one thing: this is not normal. He tried to move gently. Hey, he whispered. Hello, miss? The alien opened her eyes slowly. They were bright, glowing, like small stars. She looked at him, blinked, then smiled softly. She didn't move. Instead, she placed her hand gently on his chest and said something in a soft, musical language. Luke didn't understand a word. I think you got the wrong guy, he said, pointing to himself. She tilted her head, then rested it back on him, like she was comfortable, like this was her spot. The door opened. Small floating drones entered the room. They circled the two quietly. One flashed a blue light over them, made a beep, and said in a robotic voice, Bond confirmed, Royal. Seal active. Guardian accepted. What? Luke sat up halfway. Bond, no. I didn't sign up for any bonding. The alien girl sat up too. Her hand stayed on his shoulder. Her eyes never left his face. She seemed happy, calm, like everything was going just right. Another drone hovered close and scanned again. Life resting agreement complete. Sacred Guardian. Bond initialized by stasis link. Luke shook his head. I don't know what that means, but I really need some pants. The girl spoke again, slowly, gently, and then touched his forehead with two fingers. A bright light glowed around them. The room seemed to sigh. Then it went quiet. A moment later, a group of taller aliens entered the room. They wore long robes and metal bands on their heads. Their eyes went wide when they saw the girl and Luke. Then they all bowed low. Luke blinked. What's going on? A translator device clicked near his ear and said, You have been chosen. You are the resting pillar, protector of the Star Daughter. Luke blinked again. I'm the what? The girl touched his hand and said something soft. She says, the translator added, You are warm and steady. She chooses you. Luke didn't know what to say. His chest felt heavy not just because of her, but because he was now in a place he didn't understand, and clearly. Something big had just happened. Okay, he whispered. I just wanted to fix a generator. And now, somehow, he had an alien princess lying on him, calling him her chosen one and refusing to move. Luke sat on the smooth floor, his back against the glowing wall, trying to make sense of everything, the alien princess still resting. Beside him watched him closely. Her silver blue eyes didn't blink much. Her expression was calm. Like everything happening was completely normal. It wasn't. He was on an alien ship. He had no clothes except for a soft silver sheet someone had wrapped around him. A bunch of floating drones kept scanning him, and the alien girl wouldn't stop touching his arm like she owned it. Look, he said slowly, I'm not trying to be rude, but you really don't have to keep sitting this close. I need space." The girl tilted her head and blinked. Then she gently leaned her head against his shoulder. Luke sighed. Great. Another drone floated over. This one had a green light and a voice clearer than the others. Translator upgrade complete. Basic language connection achieved. Luke pointed at the girl. Can't she understand me now? The drone beeped. Partial understanding. Emotional sync active. Language link growing. He stared at the princess. Okay? Miss Princess, do you know what's going on? Why me? Why? Did you lie down on me like that? She opened her mouth, searching for words. Then she softly said, You, safe, heart, warm. Luke's eyes widened. Thanks, I guess. A door opened behind them. A tall alien male entered. His robes decorated with glowing jewels. He looked at the princess, then at Luke. His face was serious. He bowed low, and the others in the hallway followed. Human. The man said through the translator, You have bonded with our heir. This is sacred. We respect your role. Bonded? No. That was a mistake. I just jumped into the pod to survive. That's it. The man frowned. The pod is not for escaping. It is for soul resting, only used during the princess's choosing. She chose you. But I didn't know. The bond is sealed. Breaking it would harm her. Maybe you, too. The princess touched Luke's hand and said quietly, Not mistake, fate. He looked into her glowing eyes. She didn't look confused or forced. She looked happy, peaceful, like she had waited for this. You're serious? He whispered. Yes, she answered. The room fell quiet. Later, Luke was taken to a special room, soft lights, food cubes, and strange clothes that adjusted to his body. The crew called him guardian. Everyone treated him with strange respect, even if they didn't understand him completely. He walked down the halls with the princess by his side. She didn't say much, but she always kept one hand lightly on his arm or shoulder. It wasn't just habit. It was like she felt safer that way. The ship's control room showed a giant map of the stars. As they floated in deep space, Luke stared at the swirling galaxies. What is this place? He asked. The princess stood beside him and answered slowly. Home, Sky Kingdom, royal vessel. And you're really a princess? She nodded. Luke sat on a low bench, rubbing his temples. I'm just a guy who fixes wires. Why would a princess choose someone like me? The princess sat beside him. You did not push me away. You, calm, honest. He looked at her. That's all it takes? She smiled a little. Must run away. He laughed, surprised. I almost did. They both sat quietly for a moment. Stars moved outside the window. Soft music played in the background. Like wind through glass. A small alien girl entered with a plate of glowing fruit slices and offered them to Luke. He smiled and thanked her. They trust you now, the princess said. Do you? He asked. She nodded. You are strange, but kind. He chuckled. I'll take that as a compliment. Suddenly, a red light flashed across the ceiling. A voice echoed through the room. Incoming message. Royal Council requests communication urgent. The princess stood quickly, her calm face now serious. She touched a panel, and a large screen opened. Several older aliens appeared on the display, stern faces, golden robes, glowing crowns. Princess. One of them spoke. You formed a bond with a human. Explain. He saved me, she said firmly. He is mine. Luke nearly choked. I'm what? Another council member spoke. This is not the way. Humans are not part of the sacred code. He is part of mine, the princess replied. I won't let him go. The screen went silent. Then the message ended. Luke turned to her. What happens now? They will test, she said softly, to see if you are true. True? To see if you are my match. Luke leaned back against the wall and let out a breath. Great tests, royal politics, and a princess who won't get off my chest. The princess smiled and gently leaned against his side again. I stay, she whispered. For the next days, Luke stayed close to the princess. Not because he wanted to, though she was kind, but because she refused to leave his side. When he walked, she walked beside him. When he sat, she sat next to him. And at night, when he lay down to rest in the soft alien bed. She gently rested her head on his chest like it was a pillow. "You really like this spot, don't you?" he asked once. She only smiled and closed her eyes. Safe. Luke had stopped trying to argue. It didn't work. Every time he pulled away, she followed like a shadow. Sometimes, other aliens watched them from a distance, some with interest, others with confusion or even quiet disapproval. Word was spreading across the ship. One afternoon, the same tall alien man from before returned. His name was Varen, an advisor to the royal family. He spoke in calm words. "You are summoned." "For what now?" Luke asked, already tired of surprises. "A trial," Varen said. "To prove you are worthy." Luke sighed. "Of course. What kind of trial?" Varen didn't explain. Instead, he led them to a chamber deep inside the ship. Glowing symbols covered the walls. Strange energy pulsed through the room. The princess stood beside Luke, holding his hand gently. "You will enter the trial of harmony," Varen said. "You and the princess will be joined in mind. Your thoughts, feelings, fears, and hopes will be shared. If your bond is true, the trial will accept you." "What happens if it doesn't?" Luke asked. Varen was quiet. "You may be separated." Forcefully, Luke looked at the princess. Her eyes were calm, but he could see worry behind them. She squeezed his hand. "We do this together," she whispered. They stepped into the circle of light. A warm glow wrapped around them. Luke felt dizzy for a second. Then the room vanished. He opened his eyes and found himself floating in a star-filled space. No walls, no floor, just sky and soft music. "What is this place?" he whispered. Inside, the princess answered. Standing beside him, her form glowed brighter here. Suddenly, images appeared around them. Luke saw flashes of his past, fixing broken engines, sleeping alone in tiny bunks, being laughed at by others who said he'd never be important. "These are my memories," he said. "They hurt," she said quietly, touching one. The image faded. Then her memories appeared: lonely halls, heavy crowns, nights spent under pressure to be perfect, to choose a partner based on rules instead of feelings. He saw her hiding tears in a golden room. "You were alone too," he said. She nodded. "Until I found you." The space around them changed again. Now they stood in a field under the suns. Everything was calm. Peace settled in the air. But then the trial tested them. Dark shapes formed in the distance: doubts, fears, old voices. "You don't belong here. You're not good enough. He's just a human. She's just using you." The voices grew louder. Luke clenched his fists. "I've heard these all my life." "Me too," the princess said. They stood side by side, facing the shadows. "I don't care what they say," Luke said. "You were the first one who made me feel seen. You stayed." She looked at him. "And you didn't run. You held me like I mattered." The shadows faded. The light returned. A deep voice echoed through the sky. "Harmony achieved. Bond strong." Luke gasped. The space around them vanished. They were back in the chamber, still holding hands. Soft lights blinked. The air was warm. Varen smiled. "You passed." Luke looked at the princess. She smiled and leaned her head against his shoulder. "You are mine," she whispered. He blushed. "And you're not going to let go, are you?" She closed her eyes and answered, "Never." As they stepped out of the chamber, the crew stood in silence. Then, slowly, they all bowed to Luke. Varen said, "From this moment, you are not just the guardian. You are a chosen one of the royal house." Luke didn't know what to say. A few days ago, he was just a repair guy. Now, he was walking next to a princess, holding her hand, and being treated like royalty. He looked up at the stars through a wide window. "This is insane," he whispered. But the princess only smiled. "This is destiny." Luke was slowly getting used to the strange alien ship. He had new clothes now, soft, silver fabric that adjusted to his body like it was alive. He had his own room, though the princess refused to let him sleep in it alone. Every night, she came in quietly, curled up beside him, and laid her head on his chest like it was the only place. She felt safe. He didn't understand everything, but he had stopped asking her to move. Deep inside, Part of him didn't want her to die one morning. A soft alarm rang through the halls. The lights dimmed, then turned blue. Luke and the princess were in the garden room, floating plants, glowing water, and a view of the stars when Varen appeared. "You must come with me," Varen said. "The High Council has arrived." "Who are they?" Luke asked. "They rule the Empire. They do not trust this bond." Luke stood slowly. "So what do they want?" "To see you. To test you." Luke glanced at the princess. She looked calm, but her fingers tightened around his arm. They followed Varen to the main hall. Tall doors opened, revealing a grand chamber, filled with lights, colors, and 13 high seats. 12 council members sat there, dressed in shining robes. The 13th seat was empty. The oldest member, with deep silver eyes, spoke first. "You are the human who touched the sacred pod." "I didn't know what it was," Luke said. "And yet the bond was made." Another added, "Do you believe you deserve the title of guardian?" "I never asked for it," Luke said. "But I won't leave her." The princess nodded beside him. "He is true." A third council member leaned forward. "Then let us see if your bond means more than chance." They pressed a symbol on the armrest, and a hologram lit up in the middle of the room. It showed a distant ship, dark, massive, and moving fast. "This is the Zarnoth vessel," the elder said. "They are enemies. They do not believe in peace or honor. They've heard of your bond, and they are coming." Luke stared at the image. "They're coming. For us. For the princess," Varen said. "They think the bond has made her weak." The elder added, "You will face them, not in war but in understanding. They have sent a representative to challenge you in the ancient way." "What's the ancient way?" Luke asked. "Words, strength, honesty." The princess said quietly, "You will stand before them." The elder said, "If you fail, they will take her." Luke felt cold. "And if I succeed? Then even our enemies must honor the bond." Later that day, Luke stood in the ship's chamber of voices, the alien princess beside him. Across from them stood a Zarnoth warrior twice as tall as Luke, with dark green skin and yellow eyes. "You are the soft one," the warrior growled. "The one she rests upon." Luke frowned. "I'm not soft. I'm steady." The warrior laughed. "Then speak. Prove you are more than a weak creature she hides behind." Luke took a breath. "I don't need to be strong like you. I don't have weapons, claws, or armor. But I never ran from her. Even when I didn't understand, I stayed. I held her when she was scared. I stood by her when everyone stared. Not because I had to, but because I care." The room fell silent. The warrior narrowed his eyes. "Why would you risk your life for her?" "Because she gave me something I never had," Luke said. "She saw me. She didn't laugh. Didn't push me away. She listened. She chose me. That means more than anything." The warrior stared at him for a long moment, then stepped forward, looked at the princess, and gave a slow nod. "The bond is true," he said. "We will not challenge it." Then he left. The council stood. One by one, they gave a small bow. The elder spoke. "You have passed the final test. Even the enemies respect you now." Luke let out a long breath. The princess turned to him, her eyes soft. "You did not fight," she said. "You spoke from your heart." He smiled. "I guess that's my strength." She stepped closer and rested her head on his chest again. "Still warm," she whispered. "Still mine." He wrapped his arms around her gently. "Yeah, I'm still here." After the trial with the Zarnoth warrior, the ship became strangely quiet. No more tests. No more sudden alarms. For the first time, Luke had a little space to breathe. Still, the princess stayed close. She followed him into the gardens, the libraries, even the training halls. She no longer needed to speak much. Her presence was calm, and Luke found comfort in it. He had never imagined his life would lead here. A few weeks ago, he was a simple repair guy floating through lonely stations. Now, alien guards bowed when he passed. Children whispered his name. And every night, a royal princess rested on his chest like it was her favorite place in the galaxy. One evening, he sat with her under a glass dome showing a view of a nearby moon. The stars above shimmered like tiny fires. "You're quiet," he said. She looked at him with gentle eyes. "Thinking." "About what?" "Home." He leaned back. You're not home already? She shook her head. This is a royal ship, not the palace. My true home is far away. Are we going there? He asked. She nodded. Soon. My family wants to meet you. Luke almost dropped his drink. Your family? Like alien kings and queens? She smiled. Yes, he swallowed. And they know. You picked me. They know, she said softly. Some are angry. Some are afraid. But they must see what I see. What do you see? He asked. She touched his chest gently. Someone who didn't turn away. Someone real. He didn't answer right away. Her words warmed him. But something inside still felt unsure. What if they don't like me? He asked. They don't need to like, she said. Only understand. The next day, Varen returned with news. We are entering your princess's home sector, he said. Royal family has summoned you both. They have prepared a ceremony. What kind of ceremony? Luke asked. Varen's face was hard to read. One that will decide if the bond is honored by the Empire or erased. Luke blinked. Erased? Yes, they can break it, even if it hurts. Luke turned to the princess. She lowered her head. They think you are a mistake, Varen continued. But she has spoken for you. Now you must speak for her. A day later, the royal ship docked with a larger station of floating palace surrounded by rings of light and guard ships. Luke stood in the center hall, dressed in clean robes, his heart pounding. Beside him. The princess looked calm, but he felt her fingers tremble slightly in his hand. The royal family entered, tall, glowing beings with strong eyes and slow steps. Their leader, the queen, stood before them. She was older, her skin darker blue, her silver markings deeper. You are the human, the queen said. Yes, your majesty, Luke said. You touched our sacred pod. You formed a bond. I didn't mean to, Luke said honestly. But now that I have, I won't run from it. The queen looked at the princess. And you still choose him? Yes, she said firmly. Then stepped forward. They walked up to a circle of light in the middle of the floor. The queen raised her hand. A symbol appeared above them to stars joined by a silver thread. This thread is the bond. She said, you may break it or let it shine. She looked at Luke. This is your choice too. You are not our kind. Your world is small. Your name means nothing here. Yet she chose you. The princess held her breath. If you step back, the queen said, the bond will fade. No pain, no shame. We will understand. Luke stood still. He thought about the lonely space stations, the cold beds, the people who laughed at him. He thought about her smile, her soft words, the way she rested so peacefully with him like it was the most natural thing in the world. He took a deep breath. I stay, he said. Not because I want power, not because of honor. I stay because she never let go, and now I don't want her to. The thread above them glowed brighter. It pulsed once, then grew into a beam of light. The queen stepped back and said softly, then the bond is real. The room remained silent. Then, slowly, the queen nodded. The others followed. One by one, they bowed. The princess turned to Luke, her eyes shining. They accepted. He looked at her. Does that mean you'll finally sleep on your own bed? She leaned forward and whispered, never. The royal family had accepted the bond. The ceremony was complete. The light thread above Luke and the princess had glowed strong and bright, proving their connection was real. After that, everything changed. Now, wherever Luke walked, others bowed. Alien officers saluted. Palace workers smiled kindly. And even the younger nobles whispered to one another when they saw the human beside their princess. Some still looked unsure. Some even kept their distance. But most had begun to accept what had once seemed impossible. Luke didn't care much about titles or attention. All he cared about was the girl who still, even after everything, curled up beside him at night and laid her head gently on his chest. The bond wasn't just some royal rule or magic, it felt real. Stronger every day. One morning, as the royal ship glided through a peaceful nebula, the princess led Luke to a new chamber. It was wide and filled with floating crystal structures and rings of light. That moved slowly around them. What is this place? He asked. Bond chamber, she said softly. Only bonded pairs may enter. Are we supposed to do something here? She smiled. Learn, share, grow. As they stepped into the center, the room responded. Soft colors lit up. A beam of golden light covered them. Suddenly, Luke felt something new. Her emotions, her thoughts, they reached into his mind, not in words but in feelings. She wasn't forcing them. She was simply letting him feel her truth. He closed his eyes. Her memories flowed into him. Quiet nights under twin moons, laughter from her younger days, loneliness in long halls, the pressure to be perfect. Then, finally, the moment she saw him in the pod warm, scared, and honest, I felt safe. Her voice said softly inside his thoughts, for the first time. Then he shared his side. His lonely work, the times others ignored him, the night. He jumped into the pod only because he had no choice. The shock of waking up to find her resting on him, and how, slowly, her touch brought peace. When the light faded, he opened his eyes and saw her tears. What's wrong? He asked, worried. Not sad, she said, wiping her face. Happy, he smiled. Me too. As they walked out of the bond chamber, Varun was waiting. A visitor has arrived, he said. From Earth? Luke blinked. Earth, someone from my world. Varun nodded. Your kind requested a meeting. They sent one of your leaders. Double quotes soon. In the royal meeting hall, a human ambassador entered dressed in a black uniform with silver trim. Behind him stood two Earth guards. Their eyes widened when they saw Luke sitting beside the princess on the royal seat. The ambassador stepped forward. Mr. Luke, you've made quite a name for yourself. Didn't plan to, Luke said honestly. Earth Command thought you were missing, lost in deep space. Now we hear stories about a human bonding with an alien princess and becoming part of her royal life. We had to see if it was true. It's true, Luke said. I didn't plan any of this, but it's real. The ambassador looked at the princess. Your Highness, Earth has no wish to interfere. But we must know. Does this bond threaten peace between our species? She stood tall and said calmly, no, it brings peace. He protects me, and I protect him. And if he returns with us? The ambassador asked. The princess shook her head. He is free, but he is mine. I will not stop him, but I will miss him every day. Luke looked at her, then turned to the ambassador. I belong here now, he said, not because of power or honor, but because of her. She gave me a place to belong. The ambassador nodded slowly. Understood. Then we will report that peace is strong, and the bond is true. That night, Luke and the princess sat on the highest deck, watching the stars. Do you miss Earth? She asked. Sometimes, he said, but not as much as I miss this. She leaned against him. You are still warm, she whispered. Still mine. He smiled and rested his arm around her. The stars above them blinked gently. The ship moved forward, quiet and steady, carrying a bond that not even the galaxy could break. Days passed, then weeks. The royal ship continued its peaceful journey through the stars, stopping at stations, meeting with leaders, and forming new bonds between alien worlds and Earth. Every place they visited wanted to see the bonded pair, the human who had touched the sacred pod and the princess who had chosen him. Luke never liked attention. He didn't enjoy standing in front of large crowds, but whenever he felt nervous, he felt her hand slip into his. She always stood beside him, calm and proud, and he always stayed. They became a symbol not just of peace between species, but of something deeper: trust, kindness, the simple act of choosing to stay. But not everyone was happy. A group of nobles from the outer system believed the bond had changed the princess too much. They whispered lies. They said Luke had used some trick. They believed the human should not be part of the royal house. One night, while the ship floated near a gas giant, an alarm echoed through the halls. Varun entered their chamber with fast steps. An attack is coming. Luke stood quickly. From Hoot rebels, Varun said. They reject the bond. They think removing you will undo everything. The princess looked calm. Then they do not understand. We will defend the ship, Varen said. But they sent a message. They want the human handed over, or they will board us. Luke's chest tightened. This is because of me. No. The princess said firmly. This is because they fear what they don't know. Varen spoke again. We can hide you. Keep you safe. Luke shook his head. I'm not hiding. He turned to the princess. I'm staying. Not just for you, but for what we are. She nodded once. Together, the battle didn't last long. The royal ship's defenses were strong. But during the chaos, an enemy pod crashed into the lower decks. Armed rebels rushed in. Luke and the princess were moved to the core chamber placed with thick walls and protective shields. Still, they could hear the distant sounds of shouting and metal clashing. We may need to fight, the guard said. Luke looked around. I'm not a soldier. The princess stepped forward and raised her hand. A hidden panel opened. Inside was a small device glowing softly. What is that? He asked. My legacy, she said. A beacon of unity. It speaks to the whole ship. She pressed it. A wave of light spread through the halls. Suddenly, every screen lit up with the image of the princess standing beside Luke. She spoke slowly, clearly, and with strength. To those who attack, I say this: look at us. This is not weakness. This is strength. One chose him not because of his race, but because of his heart. He stood beside me when others turned away, and now I stand with him. You may fight, you may break walls, but you cannot break what we built. The rebels paused. One by one, their weapons lowered. They stared at the message on their screens. Even they could not deny the truth in her voice. Minutes later, silence returned to the ship. Varen arrived. They are leaving. Luke let out a long breath. The princess stepped close and touched his chest again. I will never let them take you. He smiled weakly. You really like this spot, don't you? Yes, she said. It is mine. After the incident, no one questioned the bond again. The ship reached the final system, a place of peace, where leaders from many planets gathered. There, a grand ceremony was held. The bond between the human and the alien princess was now written in the star records, forever part of galactic history. During the final speech, Luke stood quietly. He didn't say much. He just looked at her, then at the stars beyond. Later that night, under a sky filled with twin moons, he and the princess sat together on a small balcony. No crowd, no council, just them. I still remember the first time I woke up. He said softly, You were lying on me like I was your pillow. You are, she said. You always will be. He laughed. I never thought sleeping in the wrong pod would change my life. The pod was never wrong, she whispered. It brought me to you. He looked into her eyes, glowing, peaceful, full of love. And as she rested her head once again on his chest, he knew this was where he belonged. Not because of fate, not because of rules, but because they had chosen each other, and in a galaxy full of stars. That choice was stronger than anything else.